Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and all between the binary. This is Get Informed with Wajeeh. I'm Wajeeh Lion. Thank you so much for tuning in. We have a special one for you today. How's everyone doing? Thank you for coming in. Let's see if I put a segment for Ask Your Questions here today. There is a section of the day where you can go ask your questions. If you notice, today is a free open subscribers for everyone that's wanting to join. Been doing a more paid subscribers event, and if you can't afford getting a paid subscription, let us know. We'd like to gift you one. So reach out, let us know that you want one, and yes, again, we would like to gift you one. See, there's already questions here. Wajeeh, are you planning any more interviews in the near future? Absolutely, more interviews are coming. In direct communication right now with Muhammad Eldon. He's a seasoned journalist, veteran journalist for the Independent. He's an independent journalist, an actor, former NYT, Vice, PBS, Huff Post, and BBC, and including to Al Jazeera. A lot of experience. He was arrested in Kuwait, believe it or not, because he was reporting on the attacks falling on the Kuwaitis, and that resulted in him being arrested. And when he pulled his U.S. Citizenship, they dropped his Kuwaiti citizenship, so they took away his Kuwaiti citizenship. I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. I'm doing well. If you take a second to share this live stream, I would appreciate it so others could join us. Welcome, welcome. What resources do you recommend for learning more about the various Bedouin tribes and other communities in the Middle East? That's a very good question. I need to find you sources. I actually found a 3-hour documentary that explained to you everything you need to know about the modern Middle East. And it's a YouTube video. I did not make that video. I'm going to attach the whole video with the link to it on my profile with an article explaining what they're talking about essentially. And we'll cover the details regarding that. So keep an eye. This article talks. This interview essentially talks about the beginning of the ending of the Ottoman Empire, the World War II, the Saudi discovery of oil, the civil war in Yemen, the Kurds. Anything that you we and everything that we have discussed on this channel is gonna be in this 3-hour video. I actually had to watch the whole video myself to make sure um it's good. And I can tell you I was learning from it as much as you guys would. So I will be uploading that to the um we'll be applying that. Let's see if I can find your questions. Question. No questions there yet. I'm assuming most of your questions will be on here then. Um, I Malcolm this morning mentioned Jacob's lecture fees and that he get paid to show up. No, I haven't been asked to speak yet at any event. I have not been offered any money. So if you want to support my kind of work, I would really appreciate you if you could consider becoming a paid subscriber. I'm only getting the support from you guys directly. If you haven't gotten your merch, please get some. It also supports our channel. If you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. It helps us more than you think. But no, yeah, we are not getting any. I'm not getting any financial support from anyone other than you guys. If that makes any sense. Yeah. See, appreciate everyone taking time today. This morning is still on there. See, you might want to consider applying for a grant. Well, what kind of grant? I'm not a grant writer, and I don't know any grant writers. Although I do have my own nonprofit that I started, but I haven't done anything with it yet. Let's see. What is the most likely way you see this war ending? If you, oh, I haven't published that yet. I actually was finishing up an article, and since it's not published yet, I can pull it out, and see about if I can get you some of the numbers. So, for the possibility that the United States would have a U.S. military victory falls under 15 to 20% probability. The U.S. systematically destroys Iranian industrial capabilities through asymmetric drone threats to Saudi Arabia. And this outcome vindicates Saudi Arabia's strategic position where Brent crude oil prices would stabilize uh, in the short term, and it would drop to $80 to $90 a barrel. There's 15 to 20% of that. A Omani mediated deal or any sort of negotiation with a ceasefire, right? I have another 10 to 25% on that. But this would leave Iran asymmetric capabilities intact, and it would be validating Iran as a strategy, as a regional superpower. My highest probability, which I should have just led with that, my biggest assessment is that the US and or Iran grind to a Nash equilibrium, meaning that they keep fighting and fighting and fighting and fighting until one of them gets really tired. And the US reduces its footprint. The Saudis fill the vacuum as the regional guarantor of security. And then Brent crude prices stay around 85 to $95 a barrel. I think that's like a more reasonable, but I feel like the reality will be another roller coaster for a few more months. All of the report tells me that the peace talks are nowhere to be found. These Gulf state, Pakistan, they're all making calls. They're all trying to sit down and sit down and talk. They're sitting down and talking, but we're still at a full scale war. Both things can be true at the same time. And the reality is that Trump is nowhere near anywhere where he can say, okay, I'm gonna give up the war. He's easily controlled by uh, our Queen in Chief, Patricia Hegseth, and our Secretary of State, Maria Rubio. And when you look at the situation, both of these keep wanting to attack Iran, keep wanting to escalate. And in the same time, you have J.D. Vance, who has been not clear on where he stands. This administration seems like the biggest roller coaster I have ever ridden in my whole life. And we're still in the first year. We haven't done shit yet. There's another 3 years coming, or 2 years coming. Well, I wouldn't be surprised if he's the type of person that wants to bring this world to an end. Yeah, absolutely. I baked some cookies. Let me grab a cookie. Mm, I needed that. Chocolate chip, salted caramel. Bake cookies to get through the next 3 months. Mm, I lied. The grab too. Oh, I remember. Can I talk to you guys about something that's been bothering me in the US? Genuinely, genuinely. Today, I feel it's important to bring out the houseless issue. We're engaging now in a war. We're considering to go into some special operation and invade Iran. And we forget that when we do that, we end up having wounded soldiers with severe PTSDs, that end up losing everything when they come back home and become houseless. In the Twin City, we have no designated area. And in most of the United States, there is no designated space for houseless people to go. And it sounds and it feels like that everything that want people want to do, including our leadership mostly, is sweep it under the rug, destroy their encampment, push them from one place to another, move them from one place to another constantly. And when we do that, we basically throw away everything they have, including their legal documents. I don't think they'll do shit. Here's what I propose, and this has been tested before in Canada and has worked. One of my Saudi friends, his name is Hamad Shem Hamad Hamad Sideri, comes from a very respected family lineage in Saudi Arabia, family tribes that ended up becoming one of the uncles and aunts of the Al Saud family. Anyways, he's a Saudi political dissident that lived in Canada, and he was living with a Saudi roommate that ended up ratting him out to the Saudi government. Therefore, he ended up becoming houseless because he never felt safe again in that house and ran out. My friend was houseless for months in the middle of the strongest winter in Canada last year. And he was keeping himself warm using candles, one candle after another. He decided to do something brave. He decided to take his camp and place it right in front of the city court. And soon after, the whole houseless community started camping outside of the city court. Police shows up. He says, fuck with me and find out what happened. He was being very brave. I think in the US, since our police is trained by the IDF, they need to be occupied and help and be supported by the other city citizens. And everyone camps in front of the city core. This shouldn't just happen in the Twin Cities. This should happen everywhere in the US. Make the problem visible and make the problem the city's problem. Make it visible and make it in front of the city. Let the whole world know what's happening. We live in one of the richest economies in the world, yet we cannot house our citizens. You don't want to give them apartments, convert an abandoned mall into a center for these people to have medical center, educational center, some clothing, some housing, and then convert them all. You don't want to give them or convert them all. Give them a designated park with trucks that provide showers, with potty, with the bathrooms, and provide a safe place where they can test the drugs. Do harm reduction. The fact that you don't do anything about it and to keep shuffling them from right to left is increasing the problem. It's not decreasing the problem at all. So I don't understand how Frey, we should be calling him French fries, honestly. Mayor French fries is coming, promising everything. We will not cooperate with ICE. We will show the Trump administration. We will blah, 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 blah. All fucking shit. He's in office now. He cooperated with the ICE. He cooperated with the federal government. Everything that he promised to do, he did the exact opposite. And he's supposedly a Democrat, progressive. What kind of bullshit is that? We need to hold our leaders accountable, whether they're Democrats or Republican. What are you doing about our houseless population? Why are you shuffling them from one place to another? In the United States, the police protects property but does not protect people. In the United States, property holds more weight and more important than a human life. In fact, that's why I think we don't even talk about human trafficking anymore. Because in the United States, a human life can cost as cheap as $4,000. A hitman can cost you at least $4,000 or less. That's the cost of a human life. That's fucking crazy. People go to the police for serious shit. They don't do shit about it. Meanwhile, they want to police all the small crimes. You know, off duty officers can work for you if you have at least $80 in your pocket an hour. You can hire an off duty officer to be your own bodyguard, to be your own security guard. And they work off hours and they take maybe double or triple the number they get paid. And if you get in trouble, you actually have someone from the law working privately for you so they can arrest people, they could do shit on your behalf. So what does that mean? That means these police officers protect property before they protect people. That means the 1% keeps profiting because they keep the police busy on us. They keep doing it, donating big money to the police. The police ignores their big crime and they keep getting away with whatever they're doing. You want an example? Oh, no problem. Baba Trump is one. Jeffrey Epstein is two. What's another one? Uh, the Microsoft guy, Bill Gates. That's why his wife left him. Jeff Bezos. What do you want? All of these motherfuckers are engaged in this weird shit. Paying for culture war, profiting from us fighting each other. And meanwhile, uh, I'm receiving text messages. I can read that later. We need to do the opposite. Even you, as a human working for a corporation, you can tell how much the corporation actually cares about you. What do they say? They make you do more than what's on your to do list and more than what's on your job description. They expect you to. And then when you guys start working together to unionize after the years of abuse, the years of mistreatment, and the fact that you're not appreciated, what happened? No problem. We now hire AI to fire you without a human even being involved. You don't believe me? Ask people who've been getting fired from Facebook and getting fired from other social media platform because they're using AI now to track whether you are a good worker or not. And none of it has to do with you being a good worker. Most of the people that got fired for something absolutely illegal to fire people for. Most of the people that got fired because they applied for parental leave. That means you just had a baby. That's against the law. And Facebook is like, oh, we have nothing to do about that. What kind of bullshit is that? You can't even do your job right without getting fired now. Our veterans are not being respected. Our cities are selling taxes out so they can get corporations to come and take advantage of them. We are officially allowing Saudi Arabia to have a nuclear system so we can have access to their cheap AI system in the future. I don't know what to tell you, man. I don't know what to tell you. We have enough money to go to war with Iran and spend $1.5 billion a day using during this war. But we don't have money to improve your life. We don't have money, so we borrow, selling stocks and bonds. And we still stock and bonds now. It is more expensive than ever because of the risk that we're in. So we can fight a war that we cannot afford. But we cannot also, because we cannot afford this war and we are fighting it, we cannot afford taking care of you as citizens. Don't you think? So far, Pete Hegseth is almost asking for $100+ billion from Congress. So far, Pete Hegseth has asked for 38 plus 60 something, almost $100 billion. Okay, $100 billion we spent on this war. You know, if we gave every US citizen $300, we would spend about $100 billion. So everyone has paid at least $300 without counting the damages. How much is the US population? We're 340 million people. 340, 100 billion divided by 340, that's $300 per person. But the war has cost you, according to studies from last time I remember, at least $2,600. What do I mean by that? I mean the cost of the increase of cost, the inflation, the fact that you don't have access to goods from other country has increased your cost of living by another 2,600. So everyone is almost paying another $3,000 this year out of their own pocket so they can survive this war just in the US. No, 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 no. $300 just for the $100 billion that Pete Hegseth is asking for. This is not counting the economic stagflation. This is not counting the interest rate. This is not counting the cost of living. This is not counting the increased cost of product that you're getting. All of that added together is going to be almost $3,000 per family or per household. Save your money, fill your gas tank, and go to Canada, my friends. Khalas, go to Canada. What do you, the tariff refund is going not to do you shit. Mostly goes to the companies. To these shipping companies and stuff. Yeah, what do I tell you guys? What do I tell you? You know, even Americans all don't live the same first world lifestyle. I say this many times in the past, but I will say it again. The United States government does not have quality management. The United States government, federal, state, or city, do not do their job to their fullest extent. And we, as a government, have been doing that on some occasions on purpose, on some occasions because our politicians want it that way. When some people live a first world country lifestyle, and you have like 30-40% of the country living under, hold on, let me. So you have 35 million Americans, almost 36 million Americans, 35.9. 36 million Americans are living under poverty. Meanwhile, 76% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck. 70% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck, meaning you miss a paycheck or two, you're fucked. Do you call that a quality of living? No. Does all of this 70% live in the first world country that we have? No. When our internet is not everywhere, and internet is like electricity now, when electricity is not everywhere, when water is not everywhere, when our governmental services isn't everywhere, we don't do the same quality of governmental services between state to state, that's a huge problem. Huge problem. But we have $100 billion to spend on the war. I bet you that 100 is going to be a trillion by the end of the year. I bet you by the end of the year is going to be $1 trillion. Listen, my point here is to do education. I'm sure I'm maybe preaching to the choir, but this problem is still going to exist during the Democrats. I'm not mentioning something that hasn't existed during the Democrats. Our houseless problem in Minneapolis and in and St. Paul is under Democratic elected officials. We have a Democratic elected House and Senate. We have a Democratic governor. We have Democratic mayors. What do you want? What else do we want? We need to hold them accountable. We are electing Democrats, but they ain't doing the job, meaning these are guys who are not doing their job. Khalas, move on, bitch. Excuse my language. Let me find someone that will do their job. I need a Mamdani here. I need someone that is gonna get working 24/7 for me. He's gonna go meet with the houses community. He's gonna go find them a park and two. He's gonna get them the resources they need. He's gonna get them a located site for disposing needles and drugs. He's gonna get them a located site where they can have the access to prevention care. You think that's not part of public health? You don't think that's part of governmental services? Then you're in the wrong business. If it's not the government job to take a minute and take care of its own citizens, then who is it? Who? Who's going to come and take care of them? The private companies that are paying bribes for these governmental officials? If you're not going to take care of it, move. Move. We don't want you anymore. Step aside. Say, I can't do it. Admit that you fail at a job. I don't care you're Democrat or Republican. You are a failure at the moment. Since when do we have people that are their only job to cheerlead for their Democratic or Republican official? That is not your job. Your job is to hold them accountable. When they do something right, you tell them, good job, you did something right. But it's not your job to protect them. It is your job to tell them, this is not okay. American middle class is being squeezed out. Kids are coming home hungry because they couldn't be fed at school or at home. Kids are sitting back home and knowing that there is no parent to take care of them because mom is working, dad is working, and grandma is sick. That's a reality. Most Americans are single home families now. So if the government is not going to provide some sort of nest for people to fall on, who do you think is going to pick up the tab when they fall? Everyone. Everyone. When you don't do your job to take care of, make sure that the kids are raised right, when you don't do your job to make sure there's after school program for the kids that don't have their parents ready so they can go and continue doing their homework, continue doing their exercises, go back home, they're ready for bed. They have been fed dinner, they have gotten their homework done, they stayed at school and they were they did their extra credit. They're coming back home. They have a full program. Why do Asian countries have school after school so they can do their homework? Meanwhile, our kids are just going and not knowing what to do afterwards. Why do we have to focus so much on the parents' fault when we don't even pay attention to what the government has done? The government even didn't even do the basics. You know, this is what drives me crazy about Saudi Arabia. I didn't know shit like this is gonna drive me crazy in the United States. Genuinely. In Saudi Arabia, we have issues with students being locked into the school, and when a fire happens, no one lets them out because they're girls. Apparently, in the US, a shooter comes in and the police stays outside, does nothing. What are you doing? Shooter is inside. Oh no, we're trying to figure out where they're exactly. Motherfucker, what's the difference? You have a shooter inside the building, and in Saudi Arabia, they're not letting girls get out because there's a fire. What is the difference? We keep teaching our kids drills and drills and drills and drills of how to protect themselves from a shooter. Now, the back in the day, during Cold War, it was how you get under the table to avoid a nuclear blast. In my day, it was the a bomb. And now, shooters, ICE, immigration, it's a whole list of shit. Did you know? Here's something that all of you that want to send your kids to private school. I went to private school in Saudi Arabia, the same private schools the Saudi princes used to go to, okay? I met people that used to travel just to Paris over the weekend so they can have a crepe over the weekend, over one night, so they can have a crepe in Paris and come back, okay? So I know rich people. I've seen these private schools, okay? Did you know when you invest in a good school, the property values around that increases? Do you know when you have a good school and invest in a good public school that provides good education for everyone, you have less crime? You want neighborhoods to be safe. You want education to be provided for everyone. And you're all doing the wrong thing, taking your kids to a private school. The fact that you're taking a kid to a private school is alone depreciating your property value. Because if you had a good public school, everyone would want to take their kids to it. We don't invest. We don't want to invest. Our educational system keep falling. Um, Kids are no longer being taken care of. Vaccines are no longer mandatory. And the Department of Education has been dissolved. Well, the future is gone. America has no future. If you don't invest in your future, then you have no future. How do you think Saudi Arabia went from being a third world country to second world country, almost third world country now? In 50 years, 100 to 50 years. There was no roads. There was no city. Yes, there's modern slavery. Yes, it's a dictatorship. Yes, it's an authoritarianship. But they went from being a third world country to the number one. One of the richest, one of the wealthiest, one of the latest technology, on and on and on. Because they invested in their future. They sent all of the new generation to the United States, Europe, China, Japan, Korea. We sent our kids all over. We sent the Saudi population all over the world on our dime. We gave them scholarships and we gave them tuition and we gave them side income and we gave them health insurance to make sure they come back and do something to the economy. Now Saudi Arabia is working to produce its own military infrastructure, military production. Now Saudi Arabia is trying to secure its nuclear technology. I know students who were in the United States studying nuclear physics. You don't think that comes for free? Invest in your future. You invest in your economy. Allow people to come and have chances. You invest in your economy. قلبي كت كت يا ما تسمع يا ما تسكت. A public policy in the United States, sadly, has designed the education system to fulfill the old day that needed a working class for the industrial revolution. So our education system was designed to create more workers, workers, workers. We have never established an education system that was exactly designed to create leaders, to create decision makers, to create people who want to make differences. In fact, when you go to college, and this is an interesting thing, our educators tell us to be brave. They tell us to stand up for what's right. You're told to do the right thing. You're told not to be a thief. You're told not to be a cheater. You're told to have integrity. You're told to have honesty and honor. Yet once you get out, it is a different story. When you have integrity and honor, you're considered not hard work. When you stand up and voice your reason, you're considered a disruption to the process. When you say and want change, all of a sudden you are the problem. Yet we were told always to stand up for what's right. Nor our corporation or government rewards people for standing up for what's right, especially this administration. They only reward people for doing. They only do it. I forgot what I was saying. I got distracted. This is the reality, y'all. I want to make it so Americans can survive this economic stagflation. I want people to understand that this is happening on purpose. It's not happening on accident. People are actually invested in making sure that you lose your rights, you lose your income because they make more money if you lose what you have somehow, which I kind of disagree with in the long run. I think whatever the rich people are doing right now is going to bite them bad in the really bite them in the ass in the future. See if there are any questions. Where's our tariff refund? That's a good question. Ask Donald Trump. Uh, Yeah. Someone's asking about the spectrum of the Arabic dialect. The Arabic dialect differs from north to south to east or west of a country, nevertheless, different countries. Some people can understand to each other, some people not. And the accent and the dialects can really differ largely, especially because there's other languages involved, historical languages that's been involved before Arabic was even created. You're talking about the Yemen war and Saudi Arabia because the UAE is not involved at all in the embargo. Saudi Arabia is the country that decided to do the embargo. The current Yemeni leadership that is viewed as an outsider is running the country from Saudi Arabia rather than running the country from, um, you know, uh, the UAE is not engaged with the Saudis and they had a fallout with the Saudis. Al Houthi right now has an embargo on Saudi Arabia because Saudi Arabia has an embargo on them. So it's kind of no, they're not technically supporting. UAE is technically not supporting Al Houthi. They're just not getting involved. Anyways, it is past 10:30. I'm really tired. I've only had 6 hours of sleep. Maybe you guys can tell. But I am gonna go take a nap and then wake up and do more work. So appreciate you guys. Thank you for tuning in. And as always, remember you may not fuck with politics, but politics will always fuck with you. I'll see you next time.